CropCycle is on a mission to help smallholder farmers become climate heroes. Today, the farmers who feed the world are also some of the most climate vulnerable people. They face unpredictable weather, degraded soil, and rising costs from fertilizers. Meanwhile, carbon credit markets and regenerative agriculture, they have huge potential, but they're locked behind technical systems that smallholders can't easily access. We're building technology that's designed for the field, not just the lab, to turn sustainable practices into a pathway for economic empowerment.
Hi, I'm Kana from karakuriLABS.
And I'm Say.
So
Hi, Kana and
today,
Say.
hi.
Hi.
Today we are here with CropCycle. Could you introduce yourself and your role in CropCycle, please?
All right, thank you, Kana and Say. My name is Akil Faisal. I'm from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of CropCycle, which is a regenerative climate tech startup born in Southeast Asia, but also built for the world.
Okay, thank you very much. So first, what is CropCycle and what inspired you to start this venture?
All right, so CropCycle is on a mission to help smallholder farmers become climate heroes. So we do this through a mobile AI-first assistant that gives personalized crop recommendations that helps track carbon savings from regenerative practices, like for example, biochar and composting, and it builds that pathways for farmers to earn from their soil health through carbon credits. So from my experience, I grew up in Bali, and I started CropCycle after years of working directly with rural farming communities in Indonesia and Malaysia, alongside with my co-founder in Nepal. And I realized that there's so much to talk about with carbon credits and AI, and there's very little of it actually reaches the farmers on the ground. That's where we come in.
Okay, thank you very much. So when did the project begin and like currently what stage are you in right now?
All right, so the project started in November 2024, where we were incubated under the Seed Stars program from Switzerland and United Nations Climate Tech Center of Networks, so the UNCTCN. And it was a time where we noticed from both my experience in agriculture and architecture, my co-founder in mechanical engineering and tech. So we decided that from our experience, today, the farmers who feed the world are also some of the most climate vulnerable people. They face unpredictable weather, degraded soil, and rising costs from fertilizers. But they're excluded from the digital and green revolutions. Meanwhile, carbon credit markets and regenerative agriculture, they have huge potential, but they're locked behind technical systems that smallholders can't easily access. So at CropCycle, we really believe farmers deserve better. We're building technology that's designed for the field, not just the lab, to make carbon literacy simple, to make regenerative farming rewarding, and also to turn sustainable practices into a pathway for economic empowerment. And yeah, I think that answers your question.
Okay, thank you very much. So the next question, can you tell us about your co-founders and the team if you have, and what backgrounds do they bring?
All right, from my co-founders and the team. All right.
Yeah, yes,
So
please.
my co-founder is Gunjan. He is from Kathmandu, Nepal. He comes from a background of engineering and also tech. So he's very more on the back-end design side. And he actually has his own company in Nepal that is to say sidelining with agriculture, but it's a different directive. And he's building a carbon portfolio, outreaching almost 63 municipalities out of 753 in Nepal. And each municipality has about 3,000 to 4,000 people, which means that with our minimum viable product or MVP, we have the access as CropCycle being the project initiator to outreach to almost 200,000 farmers in Nepal. So in terms of the team, we actually have 30 plus people under CropCycle. Actually, we have one from Japan living in Matsuyama in Ehime prefecture. And the team spans across Asia, Africa, Europe, and also the US. So the team structure is divided into four. So we have a tech and data team. So this one focuses on the UX, UI, the AI, the chatbot, the backend, figuring out the kind of workflows, and also supports the grants and finance team to figure out what's the best way to finance because the chatbot requires maintenance financially. And then you have the agriculture and carbon team. So it's more of R&D using Landsat, GIS, and studying the soil health in, for example, using Google Earth, or also figuring out how we can connect to carbon credit certifiers like Plan Vivo or Gold Standards. And then we have the team of ESG, Outreach and Storytelling team. So that's more on the media, but also outreaching to people to build partnerships, as well as how to align it with corporate investors. Like, for example, if you look at the impact portfolio of like Credo Holdings or Petronas, how would you want to align it so it's a win-win for corporate investors and also to the end of smallholder farmers? And then you have this strategy and grants and finance team, which is being led by an incredible a person who has raised millions of US dollars in grants. He's in the Gambia, West Africa, and he leads a team of 5 people. And that team basically builds Google Sheets and a structure for all the people that we plan to invest how much money. So it kind of connects to all of the teams. And we also have coordinators that work under me to kind of streamline 30 people because it's not easy to manage that. But at the same time, I do feel that it's very empowering because having an international team from Japan, from Philippines, most of them are actually from Indonesia, Malaysia, and a bit of Nepal and India. And then we have people from Zimbabwe, Kenya, Netherlands, Ireland, Italy, German, and also 1 or 2 Americans. So getting a huge broad of people coming together, it's interesting to understand how youth perception storytelling works in the United States, or how farming co-ops work in the rural Kenya, or for example, how carbon forestry and GIS work in rural Japan. So through the fellowship program that I'm making, because we currently are looking for the funding, and I do not have any financial means to compensate them for the time. Each of them contribute 4 to 8 hours to build towards this mission on a regenerative future. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we'll move on to ask more about the problem and solution in more detail.
Okay.
So first, once again, what kind of major challenges are farmers in South and Southeast Asia currently facing?
I think one of the major challenges that at least in Southeast Asia is definitely the unpredictable climate change. So looking at more flooding, but also the rising cost of fertilizers, chemical fertilizers, and my personal work, because I do have a job that is in sustainability, but in ESG. So not just about the environment, but the social impact is very important. I'm looking into, for example, how do we studying circular economy for my master's? How do we convert end of life assessments? So for example, bamboo in Japan, there's bamboo, I think in China as well. And bamboo, we also grow it in Malaysia. And we figure out that when we burn the bamboo through a pyrolysis process, it turns into biochar. And biochar not only connects to the carbon credits or carbon finance, you can sell it for 1 credit is 130 US dollars. And 1 ton of biochar is 2 carbon credits. So you imagine from 1 ton of biochar, you're actually making 260 US dollars. Now, of course, some of it goes to the DMRV partners, but the second of all thing is that biochar is also used for fertilizers. So collaborating with farmers, the thing is, we don't have to teach sustainability to farmers, because even when it's in rural Japan or rural Bali or rural Nepal, sustainability has always existed. We do not have to look outside to learn sustainability. Sometimes we have to study the ancestral world and the culture, because I think culture is often neglected when you're building startups in sustainability. It's always about tech. It's always about money. But at the same time, have you thought about in terms of social? Sure, you empower a few women, you empower youth, you empower a lot of things. But what about the cultural sensitivity that brings in? When in 100 years, if we're working towards like say Japan and Nepal all follow the same agricultural directive, is that really sustainable? At the expense of erasing the culture of the ancestral wisdom that has been brought from generations. And I think with biochar or other fertilizers, because my team already has all the people that are experts in agriculture, I think that we are looking into collaborating with farmers, how we can empower them. And we did a market research on understanding the affordability for Nepal and also Malaysia, Indonesia, and we realized there's a lot of issues. In Nepal, actually, 20% of the agri imports could be grown locally, domestically in Nepal, because it's a landlocked country and they're importing a lot of agri imports from the north of India. But the thing is, why waste so much of the GDP on importing when they could grow it locally, when they have such fertile land? So I think with me and my co-founder Gunjan, a Malaysia and Nepali-based startup, it is very unique when we come together to solve these climate issues that are related to the SDGs. Because I think food security is at an all-time high. And for sure, we are comfortable now. There's a lot of starvation going on around the world, depending on where you are. But we have to think about that in the future. When resources run out, when agricultural plots are tight, are becoming more smaller, and cities growing, urban spaces growing. So how do we balance the interest of when, for example, the directive of STEM? So I think when we were younger, we always thought that if you focus on science, technology, engineering, we will be more successful. And the arts and agriculture is something that you shouldn't really go to, because our parents don't want us to work in rural areas. We all are focused to work in the city, like Tokyo or Kuala Lumpur. But I think we have to redefine what it means to be redefine regenerative agriculture, and how we can implement tech like drones or AI, artificial intelligence, to help not just corporate investors feel good from putting in the ESG reports of how much carbon they offset, but at the same time empower the smallholder farmers by giving a fair share to the co-ops and distribute it with good governance. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So like, what is the